DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to spot opportunity. Before we get into this, I remind you all two things. First of all, my text message line number is down below in the description for when we start sending it out again. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can have Dre as your coach. That's where you can get on live calls directly with me personally about and talk about your mindset, about your plan of action, what you're doing or your lack of plan of action, your systems or lack thereof, and making sure you're being held accountable to implement and do what needs to be done to take yourself from where you are to where you want to go. All of that happens at workonyourgameuniversity.com. I suggest you go over to the site, take a look at our feedback, take a look at our social proof, see the receipts that we have accumulated over the years. That's not even all of them, but go there and there'll be more than you have the time to even consume. Then you can take the next step to getting into and becoming a member of the university. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Again, link down in the description of this episode. This topic, how to spot opportunity. First of all, let's get a definition of what opportunity is. It is a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. All right, that's the definition of the term. So everyone listening to my voice right now would love some new opportunity that would help you get something that you may be going after right now, something that you would desire, or maybe more of what you're already getting and already desiring. And this can be in the form of opportunity to do more business, opportunity to meet the right type of person or people, opportunity to take yourself from where you are to where you would like to go. So since everyone listening to the show would love to have some opportunities available to them, let's talk about how to actually notice them when they are in front of you, because there are some in front of you right now that you may simply not be seeing. And if you were aware of them, then you could take advantage of them. So let's start there. Point number one, today's topic, once again, is how to spot opportunity. Number one, be looking for it. To spot opportunity, you got to be looking for it. Usually you don't notice things that you're not paying attention or you're not vigilant about finding them, unless they happen to be like bright blinking signs. You might notice it without trying. But otherwise, the human brain, remember, it is a excellent deletion machine, is what we call a very efficient deletion machine, which means the human mind deletes most of what you consume over the course of a day because it doesn't have space to take in and remember everything. So many of the things that it comes across, if there is no reason that has been programmed into your mind to note and remember a thing, then the human mind simply deletes it as if it didn't happen and your memory completely forgets that it occurred. So you walk past some random person, nondescript person in the street this morning when you were on your way to work or this afternoon on your way home. If there was no reason for you to remember that person, then that memory of walking past that person gets deleted from your mind. So if 2 days from now, some detective calls you and says, hey, do you remember 2 days ago you were walking home and you walked past some person with a brown jacket on? Your answer is going to be, no, I don't remember, because you have no reason to remember that happened. So the first thing when it comes to spotting opportunity, folks, is you have to be looking out for it. What would that opportunity be? What would it look like, feel like, sound like, taste like? So if and when you come across anything that could possibly be it, the mind is already on high alert for noticing. All right, that's the point. So you have to define what an opportunity would be for you in the first place. It could be one specific thing. Hey, I'm looking for meeting your girl, let's say. I'm looking for meeting a guy who is at least 6 feet 5 inches tall. All right, that could be a specific thing that you're looking for, but it doesn't need to be one specific thing. An opportunity could simply be any person who could possibly be a customer for your product or service. So let's say you have a dog walking business. Any person you see walking a dog and it appears to be their dog, that's an opportunity for you. And if you live in a place where a lot of people have dogs, well, anyone you see with the dog could be an opportunity. So an opportunity for you in another instance might be anyone who's looking for a new chatbot program for their Fortune 500 company. So what opportunities would those be? That would be finding out who's on the Fortune 500 and contacting all of them in some way. You got 500 different opportunities there because, again, you're offering a new chatbot program. So it doesn't mean they already have one. Maybe you got a better one. So when you know what the opportunity is that you're looking for, then it becomes much easier to spot the opportunity. And you start realizing how many of these opportunities are around you already right now in the moment that maybe you weren't noticing. So the one thing that keeps many people from the opportunities that they seek, or at least they think is keeping it from them, is that they don't even know what the opportunity would be for them, or at least the opportunities that they think they are being kept away from. Is that a lot of people don't know what an opportunity would be for them, even if it smacked them in the face. This is why clarity matters so much. Getting clarity matters because getting clarity means we know exactly what we're looking for, what it looks like, why we want it, how it goes, et cetera, et cetera. So if and when you come across it, you know that that's it. But if you don't know, you can walk right past your opportunity and not even know that you missed it. And your brain deleted it, so you won't even remember ignoring it. So when opportunity comes around, many people are blind to the possibilities of it because they haven't gotten clear on exactly what the opportunity is. That's why this is your first step. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to spot opportunity. Number 2, ask the right questions. Opportunity often hides in plain sight from you simply because you are not asking the right questions about what you are seeing in front of you. You ask the wrong question, then you could completely miss an opportunity simply because your antenna was not dialed in to the right frequency. See, it's not that our eyesight fails us, it's that our vision fails us. Eyesight is about what we can physically see with the physical eye. So I look outside, I can see cars, I can see the sky, I can see billboards, I can see buildings, I can see a person riding their bike, I see people crossing the street. That's eyesight. Vision, on the other hand, is about what you can see with your mind and with your imagination, such as how something that you offer can help this new business that opened downtown, how you can help them do even more business, and how you could possibly approach them about the possibility of you and them working together. See, that requires vision because there's nothing in your eyesight that's going to catch that. If a new business opens across the street from your home, it's not like they have a big sign that says, "Hey, is there anybody here who does business who thinks they might have something that could help us do more business? If so, come inside and let us know what it is. Let's have a meeting." No business puts a sign up that says that. But if you have something that could help another business, if you just opened yourself to the possibility, then maybe you could help them out. I'll give you an example. Several years ago, I was in a place where, how do I describe it? So this place that wasn't far from where I was living, this is probably about maybe 9, 10 years ago. I was looking for a Philadelphia pretzel. So any of you who is from the Philadelphia area or northeast part of America, you understand that people like eating pretzels as a little, like a snack food. And it's a big thing in the northeast part of the country, not so much in other areas. So I was looking for a Philadelphia pretzel. So I went and looked it up on Google and I found out there was actually a place about 10 minutes from where I lived called Philly Pretzel Heaven. It was actually a store, a small business, mom and pop type shop that sold Philly pretzels. It just so happened that, and this is a big thing in South Florida, there was a guy who is from the Philadelphia area. He was an older white guy, and he used to be a doctor, as a matter of fact, but he loved Philly pretzels. He retired from being a doctor. He started a business literally selling Philly pretzels. His business was called Philly Pretzel Heaven. I said, perfect. Or no, it wasn't called Philly. Was it called Philly Pretzel Heaven? It was something with Philly pretzel in it. I might be mixing up the names. But anyway, I go look up the place, and this guy literally does sell Philly pretzels. So I go down there, and I will buy pretzels from them all the time. I talked to the owner and one of his staff members and told him, "Hey, I'm from Philadelphia. We got cool, et cetera, et cetera." And eventually I said to him, "Hey, no," I asked him, "Well, what are the biggest challenges with your business?" He said, "One of the biggest challenges is that we don't get a lot of foot traffic. We want to bring more traffic. We want to get more people into the business." I ended up making him an offer that I was going to do some marketing for him. And here's the thing, I didn't actually end up doing marketing for him. He ended up turning it down and saying, "Look, this business is just not going to work in South Florida. I know it's not going to work. We just don't get enough foot traffic. And here's the other thing that I've come to realize was true." He was absolutely right about this back then, still true now, that down here in South Florida, people who are not from the northeast part of the country simply do not eat pretzels. It's not a thing. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't sell pretzels at all, but pretzels are not very popular down here in South Florida. So when you go to, for example, there's this place called Rita's Water Ice. If you've been listening to the show for long enough, you hear me rave about Rita's Water Ice, which I actually haven't had in a while, simply because it's not a location that's very close to me. It's not very convenient for me to get to. But I love Rita's Water Ice. And in Philly, if you get a Rita's Water Ice, they always sell pretzels in the water ice shop. So you can get water ice and you can get a pretzel at the same time. But down here in South Florida, they have Rita's Water Ice, and they open them in, a lot of them are in Miami Beach, because a lot of people from the tri-state area, Philly, Jersey, New York, Delaware, a lot of the people who transplant from there to here live in Miami Beach. There's a big, as a matter of fact, Jewish population in the northern part of Miami Beach, and those people actually eat water ice because they're from up north. And even when I go to those locations, I'll talk to the franchisees, the owners of those businesses, and I ask them, hey, why don't you all sell pretzels? And they say, because the franchisor told us they don't sell. If we stock pretzels, they're not going to sell because people simply don't eat pretzels down here. I'm telling you all that to say this. I had the vision in my mind, going back into the story about the Philly pretzel guy, that I had the vision in my mind that I could possibly help this guy. And because my antenna were up and I was looking at his business, I had an affinity for what he was selling. I had a reason to give a damn about it. And I know how to market and sell. And I could see he wasn't doing a lot of marketing and selling. My vision said there's an opportunity here. Even though the opportunity didn't come to fruition, the fact that I was even looking built a relationship between me and that guy. He did eventually end up shutting down his business. And as of today, there's no mom and pop place. There are some chain places that I'm not a fan of, but there's no mom and pop place in South Florida to buy pretzels from simply because people ain't buying them. All right, so I would buy them if they sold them just to me. I would buy them, but there's not a lot of good places for it down here in South Florida. So that is another problem that maybe one of you, I just gave you an opportunity. You could solve that problem. And I don't want my pretzels shipped to me via USPS. I want to be able to walk in the shop and get it fresh out of the oven. And just in case any of you had a bright idea. So vision, again, many people don't use it. Many people only rely on their eyesight and no vision at all, which reflects a lack of imagination. Vision is about your imagination. Eyesight is about what you can objectively see. The problem with a lack of vision and imagination is that you are limited to what is physically in front of or around you, which means if you are not happy with what is in front of or around you, and you don't have imagination or vision, then you're stuck where you are. So if you don't like what's around you, but you have vision, well, good, you can change it. Because mentally you can take yourself somewhere, and then physically you can follow some steps to get there, or at least take any steps hoping to get there, because at least you know you want to go somewhere else. But if you have no imagination and no vision and you don't like what's in front of you, well, you're stuck. You can't do anything. See, the people who have made great strides and advances in their own lives and for humanity in general, like inventors and things like that, these are the people with very strong imaginations who saw things before they existed. Almost everything that we're using these days, someone saw them before they existed. Someone saw the smartphone before there was a smartphone. Someone saw the internet becoming what it is now before it was a thing. Someone saw all of this stuff. And because someone saw it, they were able to go to work on making that vision into a reality. And sometimes people have visions that don't become reality. This is not to say that just because you have a vision is going to become reality, but at least you can try. At least you can start moving in the right direction. So seeing things before they exist, then you can go to work on making them happen. But you need vision for this, not just eyesight. Again, eyesight tells you what's already here. Vision tells you what's not already here, but it could be. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to spot opportunity. Number 3, beg, borrow, and steal. Now, this one I mean metaphorically. It means taking ideas, visions, and inspirations and activities that others have already used, shared, and done, and applying them to your own situation in new and unique ways. This is a way of spotting opportunity. In other words, seeing someone else do something that's innovative over there, and it was a great idea over there, and then asking yourself, if I took some pieces of what this person did over there and I moved the same concept over here, where would the new opportunity be? Would that be a new opportunity? Is there something that I could do with this? Just asking yourself the question, just being open to the question. Again, it goes right back to vision, gives you the possibility. And again, it doesn't mean there's going to be anything. Maybe there's nothing there. I remember years ago, this is probably about 2016, I was on someone's podcast and I made some offhand comment about live streaming. And this is, again, 2016. I live stream now, but platforms we use now are way different than they were back then. And I said something like to the effect of, well, it's like 4 platforms that I like to live stream on. The problem is you need 4 different devices to do 4 different live streams. I was saying this on the podcast in the interview. I said it would be great if someone just created some type of software or something that allowed you to live stream to all the platforms at the same time. You just push one button and it live streams to all the platforms at the same time. Why doesn't someone just create that? And again, I wasn't suggesting that I create it, but I was just throwing the idea out into the universe as an offhand comment in this conversation I was having on someone's podcast. Well, lo and behold, some guy, I believe he was from Australia, he reached out to me via email and he said, Dre, I heard that interview that you did and the idea you have is a good one. And he said, Dre, I'm a programmer. I'm a tech guy. I'm going to try and actually create that software that you talked about. And this is the proposal that he made to me. He said, I want to make you like the beta tester for this. I'm going to try to make it work. And here's the proposal that I'll give you. So he said, you send me $250 US, and I'm going to go to work on this for a month. And if I'm able to make it work, then that $250 will cover your cost of access to the software forever. You never had to pay me again. And on the other hand, if I'm not able to make it work in a month, I will let you know I couldn't make it work, and I'll give you $250 back. I said, fine. I sent the guy $250. He tried to work on it for a month, and he came back to me and said, Dre, I could not make this work. The reason I couldn't make it work is because, and this is getting a little bit more techie than I can quite explain in detail, but basically the APIs, which are basically the access gate that each app gives a user in order to access their stuff through other platforms. The APIs on each app won't play nice with each other. Therefore, there's no way I can put them all into one piece of software so that they all go live at the same time. It's just not possible the way that the apps are coded and the way that they're set up. So, Dre, here's the $250 back. Thanks for giving me a shot, but we can't make this work. And long story short, that was, again, almost 10 years ago. And still, there is no software that allows you to go live on all the streaming platforms at the same time. There's software that allows you to do several at once, but there's not one that just takes all of them and just bunches them all in together so I can push just one button and go live on, let's say, one phone or one computer all in one. So if any of you has solved that problem, please let me know. And again, it has to be all the streaming platforms. So right now I go live on 7 different platforms as of today's recording. This morning I was live on X, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok all at the same time. I want one app. I can push one button, look at one camera, and it streams to all 7 at the same time. And it pulls in the comments from all 7 at the same time. Any of you who has created that, let me know, and you might have a customer on your hand. I haven't seen it yet. So the whole point here is, all right, back to where we were, is asking yourself, where can you take a situation from somewhere else and use it yourself? So this guy in Australia who came to me and said, Dre, I might be able to make that app. Well, where did he get the idea? He got the idea because he was listening to a podcast that was not about that. This is not a tech podcast. We were just talking about entrepreneurship, but I just brought that up. He heard it. And he said, that's an idea. Let me try it. He tried it. It didn't work. So I'll give you 2 examples here today of someone coming up with an idea for an opportunity, and the opportunity did not work. So don't think just because you have an opportunity is going to work. But the fact that he was even willing to try it, first of all, proves that he was paying attention. He was listening. His antenna was up. His radar was on to notice opportunity. Many of you have your radar off. You don't even notice opportunity when it happens. Let alone do you take advantage of it. He noticed it. So being an opportunist, folks, is about always having the mindset, rather, of seeking opportunity. All right, where is it? This does not mean you have to come up with everything on your own. I just told you. This guy got an idea. He took it from me. I wasn't going to do it. I said, if somebody comes up with that, I'll buy it. And he said, okay, Dre, I came up with it, or I'm going to try it. Are you willing to buy it? He asked me if I was serious. I was. He couldn't make it happen. Gave me money back. So the same way that for this very show, I don't come up with every single topic on my own. All right. Sometimes somebody says something and I think to myself, that's a good topic. I should talk about that. A couple of days ago, I did a show on, are we more divided than ever? I didn't come up with that phrase. I just hear people saying it all the time. And I thought about that. Is that true? I said, no, we're not divided. I said, let me do a whole episode on that. There it is. Boom, put it out. Sometimes I read something in an article that sparks an idea that leads to me creating new material. So if I had to do everything based on my own knowledge, I would have run out of material some significant amount of time ago. But being that I can borrow and ethically steal from others, I now have a whole world full of resources available to me. So when I say ethically stealing, let me be clear what I mean. It means taking an idea from another person or place or thing, and then coming up with my own spin or my own substance and application of that idea. And that's exactly what I do. And you should do the exact same thing. Again, you don't have to come up with everything on your own. You don't have to be this evil genius sitting in the basement just coming up with all these ideas out of nowhere, out of thin air. It doesn't really work like that. So the more stuff you take in, again, we did an episode on eclectic input. The more eclectic inputs that you take in, the more resources you give yourself and the more things you give yourself to play with to possibly come up with a creative new idea. And it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be an intersection of things. I was talking to a coaching member today about this very thing, that you don't have to talk about one specific thing because that can be a very broad subject. But when you start intersecting ideas, that's when you start coming up with some of the best stuff. I wasn't the first person to invent publishing content to the internet. I was pretty early, but I didn't invent it. And I wasn't the first person to be a basketball player. It was far from inventing that. But I was the first person to take basketball workouts, like everyday basketball workouts, and put it on the internet for free. I was the first person to do that. I intersected the two things. I was not the first or the best in the world at either one, but I was the first and the best in the world at doing both at the same time for at least the time that I was doing it. So you could do the exact same thing. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is how to spot opportunity. Opportunity defined as a set of circumstances that makes it possible to do something. All right, everyone listening to me, you would love a new opportunity for something that you want. So here's the ways you can look for it. Number one, be looking for it. Be actually looking for the opportunity. If you're looking for a person that you want to do business with, then know that you're looking for a certain type of business person. And when you hear something that sounds like it might be that person, now you can dig into it. But many of you are, again, you're blind. You don't even see this. Number two, ask the right questions. Opportunity often hides in plain sight because we're not asking the right questions about what we are seeing in front of us. What could I do with this? How could I use this? How could this be beneficial to me? These are the questions you should be asking anytime you come across anything. Where would this benefit me, or where would it benefit someone else? When I saw YouTube in 2005, I asked myself, what could I do with this? I have footage on a VHS tape. What could I do with this video on the internet thing? And I would put video on the internet once I put my VHS tape up there and I saw people were responding to it. It was cool, but I didn't really get into it until probably about 2008, 2009 when I started focusing on it, saying, where could this go? And I saw it getting bigger and bigger, and I said, this is going to be something. Didn't know what it was going to be till about 2010 when I started really monetizing what I was doing online. Mind you, it was a 5-year process, but I was always paying attention. Where's the opportunity? This is a question you should be asking yourself. Where's the opportunity? Number three, beg, borrow, and steal. All right, every new idea does not have to come straight from you. The opportunity might be lying in plain sight, coming from someone or something else that has nothing to do with what your opportunity would be, but simply because you're paying attention and asking the right questions, you may notice an opportunity that just floats right by you that otherwise you wouldn't have noticed had you not had your radar up. Again, think back to that guy in Australia. He heard me make an offhand comment and said, okay, now that someone said it, let me go try that out. All right, you can do the same thing with yourself and with your opportunities. All that said, everybody, workonyourgameuniversity.com. There's an opportunity for you that I'm putting plain in front of you. You only need eyesight for this one, not even vision, but you should envision what it's going to feel like to have a bulletproof mindset, what it's going to feel like to have a clear strategy, how it'll feel to have duplicatable, repeatable systems, and how it'll feel to make sure you're being held accountable to implement and perform at your highest possible level with me as your coach. That you can envision. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all